Expectations to acceptance. This comes from Abraham. The best of experiences you must move beyond, and the worst of experiences you must move beyond. Know that it's going to be all right, no matter what. Let it be what it is. Let it be what it is. That's the bigger picture, right? It's the larger picture. It's the energy that we come here to experience, the bigger picture. And then there's the tiny little life that we live, what we're growing through every day. A very dear friend of mine who's been at the Truth Stuff for 45 years, just recently bought a brand new car. And he was driving in the morning from point A to point B. A woman pulled out in front of him. And to avoid her, he swerved to the left, slammed into her car, and went down this steep, steep, steep ditch. At the bottom of the ditch, we all know about the bottom of the ditch, don't we? He realized he was bruised, but not hurt badly, but bruised up. And his car, his brand new car, was completely totaled. And I know that he was probably feeling what we all would feel at that moment. Why me? Why has this, anybody relate to this? What am I doing at the bottom of this ditch again? Why has this happened to me? If I had just taken 6 more seconds to walk to my car in the morning, if I had just patted my dog on the head 1 more time, if I had just given my sweetheart 1 more little kiss, if I just stayed at the stop sign for an extra 5 seconds, I wouldn't have been in line with that car to have that moment in time. But the Course in Miracles, which is sometimes the Curse in Miracles, says there are no accidents in God's plan. Yes? So whatever it is going on in the little tiny moment of our life, we don't know what the bigger picture is. We just know that when these things happen to us, they happen. And that life sometimes has turns and curves that we don't know about, that we cannot anticipate, that we cannot control or have control over. But what we do have is the power to choose how we will respond to what happens to us. This talk actually comes out of a wonderful article that I read about Michael J. Fox, From Expectations to Acceptance. He says this: "My happiness grows in direct proportion to my acceptance and inverse proportion to my expectations." Say amen. Amen. My happiness grows in direct proportion to my acceptance and inverse proportion to my expectations. Amen. When he heard that he had early onslaught Parkinson's disease, that was not what he was expecting his life to give him at all. It wasn't on his treasure map about what would happen in his life. But it is what happened in his life. And he says these words that come from a deep sense of wisdom. The key for me, he says, is if I can accept the truth of this is what I'm facing, not what can I expect, but what am I experiencing right now, then I have all the freedom I need to do other things. Do you hear that? And he is doing lots of other things. How many here have expectations, right? We all do. My friend, he expected to drive his car from point A to point B without running into somebody and ending up in a ditch. He expected that. We have high, low, medium expectations. I expected you to do the dishes this morning, and I noticed that you didn't do them once again. I expect my marriage to look like this, this, and that, and then it doesn't turn out that way. I expect my kids to behave in a certain way. I expect that if I treat people right, they're going to treat me right. Everybody expects that, right? Is that what you get? No, you don't always get what you expect. So acceptance has a great role in helping us embrace what is in our life, what is present right here now, right in front of us. That's the most important, powerful moment we have. I accept that this is what's going on in my life. I don't pretend that I'm somewhere else doing something else. Expectations can mess you up because a lot of times the way in which you thought it was supposed to be isn't the way it turns out. So when we look at what expectations can give us, we see what it cannot give us. And in the new thought circle, I expect a miracle. And of course, the miracle's happening all the time. All the time. But when we get caught in that, I expect it to have it happen this way. I will think certain thoughts, I will have certain theories, and I can expect miracles to happen. And then they don't. We get all messed up. What happened? We think we flunked Law of Attraction 101. We want to give our credit card that says co-creatorship with God back to the beloved and go back to an angry, wrathful God who just does stuff to us. You know how we all do this, right? The truth is, we don't have control that way over what happens to us. We have the power of choice to choose how we're going to respond. And in that lies all heaven, right here now, on earth. Right here, right now. The power is with you. There's a tiger called Mohini. I've got a picture of, what is that now? It's a lion, so you can see the folks. It's a lion. But this is about a tiger, a white tiger, who was at the zoo for her whole life in a place called Washington, D.C. National Zoo, place there. And Mohini was in for a lot of her life in a 12 by 12 foot closed cage enclosure. And Mohini would walk 12 feet this way, and then repeat the same process, walking back in her cage in an enclosure 12 foot this way. Just constantly doing what? Going back and forth, repeating the same motion over and over and over again, literally encaged in this 12 by 12 foot rut called the life that she was living. And so the people who were part of the zoo were real excited when a bunch of money from some benefactors was given to build this whole new big, expansive 2-acre theme park just for Mohini, to give her a place to spread and expand and live a bigger life. They got ponds and vegetation and trees, and they were so excited for the release date when they would let her go into her new enclosure. The TV cameras were there. They were expecting this great and incredible thing to happen. And Mohini walked into the enclosure, immediately found a corner at a 12 by 12 foot spot, and walked back and forth, back and forth. She did that for the rest of her life, for years. She was never able to enter into the beauty and the grandeur of what had been created for her. She didn't have a choice. She'd waited too long. What do you and I have? We have the power to choose. And it begins with accepting the rut that we're in. This is what I'm doing. I'm going through my expectations, my list of my woes. Oh no, I didn't get what I wanted. He didn't do what I wanted him to do. And I expected this to happen. And I've been out this spiritual truth forever. And why am I in this ditch at the bottom of this rut? How did I create this reality? What's wrong with me? I must be a bad person born under a bad sign. I've been down since I began to grow. You know how we all get stuck in that, right? That is a rut of believing that we are in prison. All we need to do to get out of that, and it's a big step, is to accept where we are. To be able to say, this is where I'm at. This is what I'm experiencing now, but I'm more than what I'm experiencing right now. I am existence, consciousness, and bliss. And you bring awareness to where you're stuck. You're on your road towards freedom, moving out of where you've been to see where you are, which is in a huge universe that always says, yes, yes, yes. You want to stay in a rut and miss the whole universe all around you saying yes? You go right ahead. You want to play pity party? Oh, poor me, I got Parkinson's disease, or I've got this pain in my body, or someone who I love died, or I'm not manifesting my dreams. You can just keep walking in that, and God will keep saying, let me know when you're ready. Because I want to show you something huge and magnificent. I've set up for you since the beginning of time, a theme park with your name on it. It's got all the rides and ponds and trees, everything you could possibly want is there. It is your birthright. But it begins by being willing to accept where you are right now. I woke up the other morning about 3 o'clock, as I sometimes do. And as we get older, our body has aches and pains. Anybody got aches and pains in their body? Hello. I don't care how much tofu you ate. I don't care how you go with your diet. I don't care how much brown rice you ate back in the 70s. You're in a body, the body's getting old, it has aches and it has pains. Everybody's got it. And so I woke up in the middle of the night, about 3 o'clock, and I was going to go for the usual cure, ibuprofen.
I'm glad they legalized it. Aren't you? Yay, ibuprofen. But I decided to, rather than go there, I would just sit with that pain for 45 minutes. Just take a seat. Just sit with the pain. Just be with it. And so I sat and I felt it. Do you feel it? Oh, it's right. Ah, it's right there. You know, I sort of rubbed it and I felt it. The pain is there in my shoulder. Is it always there? No, not always. Is it pulsating sometimes, and then sometimes no pain? That's present too. We said last week in our talk, we talked about the difference between the consciousness that says I am and the consciousness that thinks. They're not the same. When you can step into the consciousness of what you are, you can witness pain in your shoulder. You can witness whatever it is that you're going or growing through and see something else is also present. So I just sat with my pain. And then I thought about my friend in the bottom of the ruck, all banged up and bruised and bandaged, the level of his ribs and stuff. I thought about the pain that he was in. And then my pain became the pain that we all suffer with if we're here in the body. And all of a sudden, a great compassion came over for all of us. This is what happens while we're here. We have these things happen to us, but we're more than these things that happen. We are much bigger than what we might be stuck in. And it begins with being willing to accept where you are right now in the moment. That's a big step towards healing, accepting where you are in the moment. Michael Fox said, my healing did not begin till I was able to accept that this is what I had. But I didn't need to be ruled or consumed by it. I could use it to continue to grow. I could use it to be a voice for other people who are in pain. And that's exactly what he's doing. He's out there preaching the word of people who are in pain. And because he has a great, incredible mind and he's great in front of people, he can speak to something that's become what his role is to play for the healing of himself and everybody else on planet Earth. He's actually going to be involved in a new 24-spot series of a new show he's going to be on. And when they told him we were going to offer him this show, he said, I got to tell you, I can no longer hide my Parkinson's disease. Even with the great medication I'm on, I could maybe go 2 scenes, but it's just there. So they said, we've got a plot for you. The person who you will be starring as has Parkinson's disease. And so it'll be totally fine for you to be the person. Did you hear what God just said to you? Whatever it is that you've got, the theme park is open. You can use it as a teaching. The beloved will say, yes, use what your handicap is. Use what your difficulty is. God has a plan for you. Not to hide, be afraid, but to accept it. Accept what is, and everything that you are will be revealed unto you. It will no longer be concealed. It'll be a revelation. The thing that's the worst thing for you can be the best thing for you to share with other people. Yeah, do you hear that? It's huge. When I was very, very young, I used to bite my fingernails. I bit my fingernails like crazy. I can hardly remember not having my finger in my mouth and chewing on my fingernails. And I was 6, 7 years old, and it drove my dad crazy. He'd go nuts. Stop biting your fingernails. Stop biting your fingernails. Stop biting your fingernails. And one time we were sitting on the subway going from somewhere to the Woolworth Company, and there was a man sitting across from us, and he had bloody, stubby fingernails. My dad looked at him, only like my dad could. He said, I want you to look at that man's hands. You keep biting your fingernails. That's exactly what you're going to look like. I expect you, every time you stick your finger in your mouth, to think about that man and those bloody fingers. And I went, oh, that made it worse. I wanted to chew my whole hand off. Thanks for the help. And a lot of it had to do with just being insecure. When I was in junior high school, I wasn't a good student. In the 5th, 6th, and 7th grade, I was in what was called the dumb class for the triple I students. I had slight dyslexia and didn't even know about it then. I wasn't even talking about it then back then. So I just felt insecure. I was the kid when they would have athletic events and they would pick people for the team. You know, I'd be the last person picked. You know that. How many know that one? I don't want him, you take him. I don't want him, you take him. That was what that was about. I felt insecure. So it took the manifestation of my fingernails.
And it wasn't until years later when I became a unity minister, in my first church in Port Angeles, Washington, I was still a nail biter. I was a closet New Age nail biter. I didn't let other people know I was biting my nails, because that didn't look good to have bloody fingernail and stubs while you were telling people to pray, be in equanimity. At the center of your being is peace. So I did it behind my back or like this before I get up on stage. And a guy named, remember Wally Minto and Burl Minto? Yeah. They did a thing called It's Okay to Have Problems. And they had a lot of problems. They had so many problems. But the biggest part of what I got from the workshop, the first time I went to see Wally, was that he said, the road to healing and wholeness begins with acceptance of where you are. You can't accept where you are. You can't move on to what you truly can be. You have to accept it first. You've got to see it. And then he gave all of us in the room an invitation. And I'm giving you the same invitation right now. He said, is there something about you that you've not yet accepted that you could accept right now? Of course, I had my finger just in my mouth, and I went, oh, here's something I can accept. I got it. It's okay for me to bite my fingernails. It's okay. It's okay for me to bite my fingernails. I don't need to expect me not to. I just am. Make what is unconscious conscious. I'm aware that I'm biting my fingernails. When I quit smoking cigarettes, I did it one cigarette at a time. Yeah, I smoked a pack, and then I smoked half a pack, and then I smoked 10, and then 3, and then finally I quit. That's how I did it. I became conscious of my addiction. One cigarette at a time, one nail at a time. I noticed it. And then all of a sudden I noticed that my fingers weren't in my mouth quite so often. And now I'm proud to show you I've got some pretty nice looking fingers. Yeah. Every so often I get a little nervous, and I can tell because I unconsciously start rubbing a thumb, and you get that one little piece of skin that you swear, if I just get this one little piece off, then I'll be fine. I'll smooth it out. There's another little piece, you know. I still have to work with the practice, right? Practice, practice, practice over and over and over again. Accepting where you are. Just noticing when you're getting back in that groove rut again. And just be aware of where you're at. I'm aware right now that I am feeling pain in my shoulder. I'm aware right now that I'm getting ready to go on this big trip off to the Northwest. And we've been very, very super busy getting ready to go on this trip. I noticed that when I do that, I get agitated. I accept that that comes with getting ready for a big trip, having a million details to take care of. I noticed it very quickly, and I'll say this fast. I didn't do it at the first service, but you get the corrected version. Our dog generally chases squirrels in the back of our house. She does that for us, but she hasn't been around because we had to get rid of her on Thursday to go to someone's house, our daughter's house, to watch her. And I noticed that there was a squirrel in the backyard, and I had Hobson's squeaky toy. And this is when I noticed what was going on in me, how crazy I'd gotten. I picked up the toy in my socks. I ran out to the tree with Hobson's plastic toy, and I said, I'm going to get you, come in. I guess the morning looked at me and said, ooh, someone is slightly irritable. Are we feeling a bit tense? And I went, oh, Lord, absolutely. I got to accept that I was feeling the tension, the frustration, the mounting pressure, getting ready to go. And every time you go on a trip for a couple of weeks, you got a million details to take care of. And I just got to accept that. That was my condition for the moment. It wasn't permanent, but it was where I was at. And by owning it and accepting it, I didn't need to project that unresolved issue onto Maureen. Even this morning I said to Maureen, please accept the fact that I'm grouchy and irritable, and I know that I am, and it has nothing to do with you. You hear that? What a huge relief that can be. And by accepting that, it sort of went away. Maureen gave me a blessing, and it's sort of not returned yet. Tomorrow's the airport. So let's go to the lesson summation. I'll give you a few more words, and then I'll be done with you for a couple of weeks. Hand you over to somebody else. From expectations to acceptance. The best of experiences you must move beyond, and the worst of experiences you must move beyond. Know that it's going to be all right no matter what. Let it be what it is. It's huge. It's much bigger than what you're experiencing. Let's go to the next one, please. My happiness grows in direct proportion to my acceptance and inverse proportion to my expectations. Let's say that together. My happiness grows in direct proportion to my acceptance and inverse proportion to my expectations. If I can accept the truth of this is what I'm facing right now. And please understand, I am not saying, thank you, Matt, that this is about accepting unacceptable behavior from someone else or yourself. I'm not talking about that. That's not about this. If I just can see what it is I'm facing, not what can I expect of what am I experiencing right now, then I have all this freedom to make other choices. That's a I call that a good day. Let's go to the next one, please. Even after all this time, the bigger picture says, the sun never says to the earth, you owe me. And look at what happens. With a love like that, it lights up the whole sky. This is the power of giving to life without the burden of expectations. So when you find your fingernails being bitten off or watching somebody else do it, the same hands that you could gnaw and chew on can be the same hands that can open and give a blessing to others. Practice well, practice deeply, not just for yourself, but for the benefit of all beings everywhere. We work and live with these teachings, and we're grateful to have them. Please do not miss the amazing Barry Dennis. Come and support Paula. And Maury and I say to all of you, we love you, we bless you, we appreciate you. We say, namaste and namaste.